Well, hello everybody. It's John here from Warlord Games. Nice to see you all again. Chris has tracked me down to my secret command bunker in my kitchen and is going to expose the world to everybody about where I paint my toy soldiers. And it's on my kitchen table. So here we are. It's a nice bright sunny day and I just been caught painting out some stuff. And I'm going to take a few questions and answers from you, which Chris will read out to me. So more later. Oh, I've got an update on my Boer War observation balloon, which I did last time. I've actually got it completed now, so I'll show that off shortly. So see you in a minute. Many of you know that you can actually come and visit Warlord Towers in Lenton in Nottingham. Normally on a Friday, about 11 o'clock, we throw open the doors of our factory and studio and do guided tours. And people come from all over the world and in different numbers. We can sometimes have 3 or 4 people. Last week was 17 people, and we take them around in 1 or 2 crocodiles. And I get to meet you, and we chat away for about 15-20 minutes. Then perhaps go into the photography room and meet Chris and see what he's doing. Then into the studio, then all the various departments of how we make all our wonderful miniatures in resin, plastic, and any other materials that we have at the moment. It takes about between 2 and 3 hours, and you just book it through our customer service desk, give them a ring or drop a note to us, and we get to show you around. It's a fantastic morning and afternoon maybe. So have a look for that. Then the 22nd of August this year, so just next month, we've got our open day, which unfortunately is sold out now. That's on the 22nd of August. But we'll have over 300 people turning up, I think, on the day. Again, get the grand tour, and we put some big marquees out into the car park and run some splendid games, and we have some guest people and guest speakers. And my old pal Rick Priestley is going to sit with me and take answers for Q&A for an hour. Rick always sounds puzzled about what people want to hear from him, but he's just a great talker, so he'll be very entertaining. We can always talk to him about his cats if we get stuck. And then Alessio Cavatori, he's never shy of talking to people. He'll be there to talk to about all things bolt action. And then Pete and Dan will be there to answer all your questions on Conflict 47. And we'll be showing off lots of new models, and it'll be a very exciting day out. And a really good burger van there too. Yeah, Chris asked me to just chat about what I paint. I paint every evening if I can, unless I'm away, for about an hour or an hour and 20 minutes, then cook some dinner. And what currently on my desk, as you can see, is my Boer War British Army, coming along nicely in all sorts of khaki. These are Scottish regiments. You can tell they've got wearing their kilts with the tan or khaki apron on the front so it doesn't show the tartan to the Boer marksman. Keep them safe. You don't want to be shot on the sporran. And then, very cheerfully, my Royal Engineers balloon, of which I was nearly finished a couple of months ago, but I've since obviously put in a steel hawser, actually Floris wire, and I've embedded it in this sort of I didn't know what a steam winch looked like in 1900, so I've sort of fixed it into a metal container containing the steam winch and sandbagged it out, and then put a tarpaulin over it. And then to give it a little more fun, I just popped a bicycle there on the front for messengers to take messages drop down from here down to there. And this cyclist would then run off to the British artillery and give the corrections when you're shelling the Boers from however many thousand yards away. So it's come out very nicely. I say I'm really pleased with it. It's got 2 fellows and an observer, well, 2 observers really, 1 officer and another ranker. Is it too small? I showed it last time, people said, oh, it's a bit small. I said, well, it's many hundreds of feet up in the air, I think is the idea, folks. But it's good fun. I really enjoyed making it. And there we have it. Here we've got some, again, some Highland troops going forward. The officer with his wearing a Glengarry there with the tartan on it, and a crusty old NCO telling the lads to fix bayonets and get stuck in. So those have been good fun painting those. Been painting some artillery. I think they're 12-pounders for the Royal Artillery, and they also have some howitzers. So artillery played a large part of the war in South Africa in 1900. So you need a lot of artillery. This is a very disorganized painting table. I can see some of you weeping even now, but there we go, it works for me. The thing that's most improved my painting skill is this amazing lamp. It's called the Grinning Gargoyle. I'm sure there are many sorts of lamps. But my friend Anthony Epworth suddenly turned up one day with this lamp. I don't know why he did, but I'm very grateful for it. He suddenly walked in and said, "Here, put this lamp up here." And he clamped it down for me on my table, switched it on, and it's transformed my painting. You can just see so much. The detail leaps out at you. And if you're not using one of these, you must be balmy. It doubles your, I can paint twice as quickly and far better than I did before. So get yourself one of these really, really good lights. It'll be well worth the money.
What did you use before?
I didn't have anything really. I had a small spot lamp before, which didn't really work terribly well. Some of you will have noticed this nice natty little badge here, which says W. And that's got a significance with me. Many of you watching this video will have been brought up on a diet of British comics, The Victor and Valiant and Warlord comics in 2000 AD. And when I was 13, 14 maybe, a comic came out called Warlord, which was tales of daring do, normally from a British perspective, of course. And one of the special agents was a chap called Lord Peter Flint, who, of course, he was a very posh aristocrat, James Bond type, who was meant to be a coward, but in reality he was out there sinking German battleships and things on his own. And the Warlord comic gave away one of these badges, the Warlord badges. And my good friend Tim Adcock, who lives in Nottingham, a fantastic designer, he tracked one of these down at a market for me and bought it for me, so it's my favourite badge. So thank you, Tim. I'm wearing it for you. It's really cool. And here's some good news. Chris has compiled half a dozen of the neatest questions that we got asked from the last set of videos, and I'm going to do my best to answer them without having seen what they are yet. So over to you, Chris. Now, we've been asked, have we got plans for an Austrian army in epic scale, Napoleonic one? The answer is we haven't got immediate plans for it, though we are just doing testing some new ideas for doing more epic models, and Austrians and Russians would be the ones we'd likely do next, I would say. The gentleman did ask if, at a pinch, what would he use for Austrian line infantry? I'd use the French in greatcoats is what I'd use, and that would be the closest I think you could get. Possibly some of the Prussians would work too. Are we going to get any more 15mm epic scale American Civil War sets? Well, the answer to that is we were just working on one this morning. So the answer is yes. I'm not telling you what they are yet, but it's really quite exciting. Are there any plans to add Egyptians to the epic Hail Caesar? Well, I'd really like to, but it's not planned. So it's a no, not at the moment, but Egyptian armies would look fantastic. I can already see those chariots in my mind's eye. And that's the army I'd do if I was going to buy a next Ancients army. Somebody's written in and asked, are we going to do any more epic pike and shot? Because they say there's a good few units that haven't properly been covered yet. Now, I'm guessing that we're talking Eastern Europe, more like the Polish armies, perhaps, and perhaps the Turkish armies, which we just covered in 28mm. But no reason why we wouldn't do them in 15mm. We just can't do everything all at once. I think the Polish armies and Lithuanian armies would be quite interesting, and the Turkish army, they'd look great, I have to agree, for pike and shot. Well, welcome aboard if you've just got into wargaming. I hope you find it an absorbing and interesting hobby, and I hope that Warlord looks after all of your needs. It's a big, broad church, and welcome in. Are we going to do the War of 1812? Because we've got the ships for doing it with the Black Seas, but are we going to do 28 or 15 mil versions of that? I've always quite wanted to do the 1812 war because the British largely and the Canadians are in the either peninsula or Belgic Shakos, so you can probably cover those from our existing ranges, and certain amount of Indians we've already got. Doing the Americans with their, again, it's not far off a British uniform, but they've got a slightly strange hat, and they've got some lovely top hats, some of them. So I think we could do the War of 1812. It's a small war, but very exciting action, so why not? Yeah, well, we're finishing the Boer War range at the moment, as you can see, and a couple of people asked, are we doing the British Dominion troops and Kiwis or Aussies or Canadians? And the answer is yes. Yes, we'll do all those. I mean, there's not a huge amount in uniform differences, but there is some, and it'd be good to field units from the Empire. Yes, indeed. A couple of really nice personality figures as well. There'll certainly be a range of quite fantastical British mechanical devices that we'll also be doing for the armies, not just balloons. Far more interesting things. What's really nice is we get a big wish list from all of you out there. Will you do this? Will you do that? And some of them are quite obscure. The War of Jenkinson's Ear. But there are other periods we'll come round to one day. We've not done many what I'd call modern periods. People quite often ask for Vietnam period, which would work well for bolt action. We flirted with the idea of First World War bolt action too. There was a group of Canadian gamers who wrote a really good version of bolt action World War One. But we're kind of busy doing everything else. You can't do every period. So I'm afraid it's just wait and see, fellas. But it's great to hear what people want though. Another question is somebody asking, it's nice to do some South African forces. Will we do the Marmon Harrington armoured car? I thought we had made it, but Chris tells me we haven't. Well, if we haven't made one in 28mm, we will do. It's such a unusual vehicle. It's somewhat ugly, only its own mother could love it, but they were useful and well liked by their crews. And they were armed with all sorts of nonsense of Italian guns and Lewis guns and Vickers and all breeder 20mm guns and boys anti-tank rifles. So if we haven't made one yet, we will do, because everything's a bit South African-tastic at the moment, because we're of course just releasing Zulu. When I was about 12, my first adult book that I read was one of my father's. It was called The Washing of the Spears by an American author. And it was it's looked on now as not great history, but at the time it was epoch breaking. Really good research into the Morris, I think his name was. Great research into the Zulu War. And I read that as a big, thick book. And I thought that had me gripped. Then, of course, the film with Michael Caine came out called Zulu, and we all dutifully went along and were inspired by that movie. And since then, I've got a great interest in the Zulu War, both the Zulu army and the Anglo armies, of course. And it's with great delight that we can just now talk today about our new epic Zulu range. And it's been great fun putting it all together, play testing the games with my friend Pete Brown, who's written up the Rorke's Drift scenarios and the Insandawana scenarios. And the models, I think you'll find, are absolutely stunning. Some people, when they've seen already in the photographs, think it's our 28mm range, and they're not. These are 15mm. The detail and the poses are remarkable. So immediately, of course, people said, oh, you're doing Rorke's Drift again. If only you made all the other models. Well, we are making all the other models. We're doing all the British cavalry, King's Dragoon Guards, the 17th Lancers, Frontier Light Horse, Gatling guns. We can do it for the whole lot. So there were many battles during the Zulu War, obviously not just in Sandawana and Rorke's Drift. And so watch this space for all our releases, but it's a terribly exciting bunch of models, and the detail is exquisite. And you want Zulus, thousands of them? Well, here's your chance. Fill your boots with Zulus. Thank you. Well, thanks all for all your phone calls and emails with questions for me. I hope I've been able to answer some of the questions, even if it's in a negative, it's a not yet. But most of them are not yet, not ever. So keep writing in, and Chris particularly enjoys reading them, and we're filing them away and all gets read, I can tell you that. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you at the next irregular kitchen table talk. Thank you. Bye.